This is the first installment in a series of videos in which we will be doing some hacking using the Algol 68 programming language. In this series, we are not gonna center in hello worlds or Hanoi towers or your typical small demo program, but instead our intention is to do some serious shit with Algol 68, and in the process to show how Algol 68 is a very modern, very powerful, fascinating and unique programming language. So if you are interested in Algol 68, or if you never heard of it and you are curious about it, you are more than welcome to join us in this journey. We will have fun together, and we are gonna learn a lot of things by doing all this. So today we will be setting up the development environment, which is obviously the mandatory first step. If we want to do Algol 68 programming, then we need Algol 68 tools. And we will start with the compiler, then we will be doing Automake and Autoconf, and then at the end, the last step would be to install and setting up an Emacs, a mode for Emacs that provides syntax highlighting and automatic indentation, which is very convenient to have. So let's start with the compiler. Nowadays, as of today, there are two main modern implementations of Algol 68. One is called Algol 68 Genie, which is an interpreter. It is written by and maintained by Marcel van den Berg. It's an amazing piece of software. It covers the full language, and it's very nice. It's very good. The Algol 68 Genie. It's also available in most distributions. However, in this series we will be using GCC. Back in several months ago, we started working in a front end for GCC for Algol 68. We started the work around October, November 2024, and by the beginning of January 2025 we already managed to send some patches to the upstream GCC mailing list. And since then we that covered some initial support for it, but in the meanwhile we have expanded the front end, and as of today it can already build and pretty complete Algol 68 programs, and actually the totality of the language is already covered, and the only significant piece of the language that you cannot use as of today is parallel clauses. Other than that, everything else is supposed to be working. So we will be using GCC in this series. If we find problems with the compiler, we will be fixing them on the fly as we go. So the first step is to build GCC. We are hosting the GCC Algol 68 development in the GCC website, gcc.gnu.org, wiki, Algol 68 front end. And in this wiki page, we are keeping a list of milestones that we have reached, showing the progress of the development, then the roadmap, what is supported, what is not supported, what we'll be doing next, and so on. A lot of other information, but this additional information is mainly addressed to GCC developers. So in our case, what we are interested in is where to find the compiler. For that, we go to Git repositories, and we are hosting the development of the front end here in Fort Sourceware under the GCC organization, and this is the repository. And we hope that by 2026, when GCC 16 gets released, we will be already integrated in the main GCC source tree, and the next released GCC version will actually ship the Algol 68 support with it. But we are not there yet. So for now, you need to clone this repository, and in particular, you need this branch, this A68 branch here. Oh, gee, oh. Okay, I'm so bad with mouses. Anyway, the Algol 68 branch there. So this branch is our main development branch. The latest and greatest is there, and it is based on the master branch in the main GCC source tree Git repository. So this is the branch that you want. So in our development machine here, this is a Debian 5, sort of oldish, but that's the kind of systems I use, and it has nothing special in it. I mean, actually, it has like the basic toolchain in it of Debian and Make and binutils and GCC, that sort of things. So we will start by creating some directory here, which is empty, and then the first thing that we need to do is to clone GCC. Now, as we have seen, you clone it. The repository to clone is in sourceware, but to make it faster in this video, I'm gonna clone and already cloned like working copy that I have in my home directory of GCC, which is way faster, obviously, than getting it from the internet. And okay, let's get there. And the branch is already A68 because that was checked out in that working copy. So we should be good at this point. Now, we need to build this GCC. How to build GCC? Building GCC from sources, people, is extremely easy. The first thing that you need to do is to run the contrib download prerequisites script. This is a shell script that basically it downloads some build requirements of GCC that you may not have in your system. So it just gets the tarbals, as we shall see in a few seconds. So yeah, so this is, first it is getText for internationalization and GMP, a couple of libraries that GCC uses to support, because it needs to use like multi-precision arithmetic with integers and with real numbers as well, and some other stuff. So there it is. So once you run the download prerequisites, then we create an empty build directory here, and the first thing that we need to do is to configure the sources before building them. Now, the first thing that we are going to specify, we are going to tell the configure script, is where we will be installing this compiler, this toolchain, this compiler. I'm not gonna install it in any system-wide directory in this machine, not even in user local, and I recommend you to do the same, to not do that. Why? Because when you build GCC, in this case we will build the GCC with the Algol 68 frontend enabled, but when you build it, it's gonna build also the C frontend, so the GCC compiler proper, the GCC compiler driver, and the C++ compiler, because GCC itself is written in C++ nowadays, so it needs C++ to compile itself. And also the Algol 68 driver. So when we build it and when we install it, it's going to install all of them. And we don't want to disturb the toolchain which is available in system-wide. So that's the reason why we are going to specify a prefix in our home directory, a directory called root Algol 68, which is an arbitrary name. That's what I usually use. The next thing that we are going to specify when we configure the sources is the languages that we want to enable. So we are going to say enable languages Algol 68. Again, GCC is also going to build the C compiler and the C++ compiler in any case, because it's still written in those languages. But with this, we are saying also build the Algol 68 frontend. And the next thing that we are going to specify here is that we don't want to bootstrap. This is good to specify here, because when GCC builds, it builds itself several times in a row. The first time it builds GCC using the toolchain that you have in the system, and then it uses this toolchain that you just built, the compiler you just built, in order to build itself again. And it does it several times. So it takes a long time, and also it takes quite a lot of disk space. So we don't want to do this. That's more for compiler development. and that's pretty much it. And we configure it, and then we build it, like -j, whatever power at your disposal, the more cores the better, and then you build the compiler. However, it will take some time to do so. So in the best tradition of cooking shows, we are gonna stop this compile, and we are gonna switch to this checkout of GCC sources that I had already there, and I already had a build there, which is actually done. This build is done. So we used to configure this, configure the plot, we use the same configure options. So now we install. In your case, you have to wait, obviously, for your own GCC to build. It should build with no issue. All right. So now this installed GCC in the prefix that we specified. So let's take a look what we got there. Right. So now we have a small hierarchy of files here, like a sysroot. And under bin we have the different compilers, the C preprocessor, the C++ compiler, the C compiler, drivers, all of them, right? GCC, G++, and we have here GA68, which is the driver for Algol 68 of GCC. And right, something interesting that you definitely want to take a look at is that under share info, here you have all the different manuals that GCC installed, and among those manuals there are two which are related to Algol 68. One is the internals manual for the Algol 68 compiler. This is probably not very interesting to you at this point, and the other one is the manual of the Algol 68 driver compiler, and this you definitely want to take a look at. Take a little bit of time, go through it. It's obviously it is work in progress, but it already contains a lot of useful information about how to invoke this compiler, the language specific options, command line options. It's of special importance, you know, those significance, you know, those prelude. It's in Algol 68 jargon. A prelude is sort of like a library. We will get to it in other videos, of course, in the future. And it also documents the different extensions to the base to the core Algol 68 language that GCC implements, and other useful information. So please take a look to the manual. All right. So let's go back to our working directory here. We had GCC. This is the GCC that in theory we just built and installed, and now the compiler is available there. How to access it? Well, a good way to do that is to do something like this. You export the path to root Algol 68 bin path, and then at this point we should be able to access the compiler there as it happens. You could say, if you are curious, okay, where it is? Yes, it's the one we expect. So, how to use the compiler? Exactly the same or very similarly to how you would use like the C compiler or the C++ compiler. We are gonna create here, we said at the beginning we will not be doing hello worlds. Okay, today we will. Let's write in a foo.a68, we will write a hello world here, which in Algol 68 looks like something like this. Hello. And given this, we are gonna compile it. Now, how do you compile it? Exactly like you would compile a C file. So J68 with GCC, J68 foo.a68, and this gives you like an out, already linked executable that you can execute, and it just say hello to you. It is exactly very similar to the other front ends, to the other drivers. Like for example, if you want to just compile it, you just J68 -C foo.a68, and then that will give you foo.o, just the object, or if you are interested in just generating assembly code, it will give you an assembly file, and and so on, right? You can also specify pass common options. You can specify Algol specific options. We will look at all that in the future with calm and enjoying every step. But for the moment, we are satisfied now because we got a working Algol 68 compiler. If you are curious, you can run the GCC Algol 68 test suite, which is more than 10,000 different tests, and as of today, all of them pass. Right. So now we got the compiler. What is the next step? The next step is Automake. As of today, the last Automake that got released was in May 2025, which is the version 1.18, if I am not wrong, and that one already has full Algol 68 support in it, and it has the support in it because we contributed it and we made sure that it would be released. So then we need to install the latest version of Automake. How do you build and install released GNU software? Well, it's always the same procedure. Basically, you go to ftp.gnu.org, GNU, then the name of the program, in this case is Automake. And yeah, you know why this happens? This happens because nowadays internet is a terrible place due to those AI bots, and it's terrible. Anyway, so the latest version of Automake is indeed the 1.18 released in May. So we want to install this one. Those are GNUs or starballs, release starballs. They're super easy to build and install. So we first fetch them, https ftp.gnu.org, GNU, Automake, we said it was 118, that set. Then we uncompress the tarball. So this is a GNU source tarball, so the procedure is always the same, it's very easy. You create a build directory, then you configure it, and then you specify a prefix. What prefix are we going to use? Exactly the same that we use for the compiler, which is root algol 68 in our home directory. Then you make. We are not going to run the Automake test suite because it's quite big and it takes a long time to execute. It works properly, I know that, so make install. Right, so now we have the latest version of Automake installed in our root, which is available in our environment. So Automake version 118, excellent, with Algol 68 support, super good. Now, the next step is to install Autoconf with Algol 68 support. In this case, the support is not yet upstream. The SPAT series are still being evaluated, reviewed upstream in the Autoconf development list, so it's not yet there. However, we keep the patches in a Git repository, which is linked from the GCC wiki page that we saw before, and it is in the branch A68. So we clone that, git source hat A68 autoconf, and once we get it, be careful, I have to fix that actually in that repository. The default branch is still master, so we need to get the Algol 68 branch. Yes, I know that's my git foobar, that you may not like it, but I am too stupid to do anything more sophisticated. I'm a very, very basic mentality. So we check out to the Algol 68, and then in this case, this time this is not a release tarball, so there is no configure script here. But we execute the bootstrap script as usual. This should have created a configure script. Then we configure again. We specify the same prefix. We make. Now we we install. Again, we could run the Automake test suite, including some Algol tests, but it takes a long time, so we will not do that today. Right. So now, if we say which autoconf is in the path now, which is the one in our root, and we can verify that it's the latest version, which is 272. Wow, which is quite modern one. We are so used to always use old version of Autoconf and Automake that when you see a new one, it's like, whoa. Right, so we are almost there, we are almost done. We got GCC, we got Automake, and we got Autoconf. So the last piece that I want to look at today is the an Emacs mode for editing Algol 68 programs. This is called A68 mode, and there are two ways that you can use to install this, to get this. The easiest way, so to say, is to use the Emacs package manager. You do list packages, and you search for Algol 68. Oh, it's there. There, Algol 68 mode. Because the Algol 68 mode, it is in ELPA, which is the Emacs package archive. So you can just say here install, and it will download it and install it and make it available in your Emacs. I try to keep this sort of up to date, but actually I work, as I use more and more Algol 68, I actually expand the Emacs mode as I go, and the version that you can get in ELPA maybe slightly not that up to date. So it's always better to use the latest and greatest and to pull regularly so you get the new features and the fixes. So in the case of the Algol 68 mode, you have to clone. I have it in a repository, git source hat tra A68 mode. Yeah. And as you can see, the mode is just one Emacs list file that you can just load as normal. If you want, you can, if you do make here, it will byte compile into an ELC file that loads faster, but I almost never do that. But in any case, so you can easily edit your Emacs configuration to do something like this. This is what I have in my own, which is like the Emacs mode is there, it's my checkout, and I associate the .a68 file extension to this particular mode, and that's it. There is not much more customization that you actually have to do. How this looks like, this Emacs mode, I can give you a very, very quick and small appetizer of what will be coming in next videos. So this is some Algol 68 code. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You will see. You have no idea what's coming. So, but as you can see, the Algol mode in Emacs, well, it recognizes quite a lot of the syntax, and it does some syntax highlighting, and it's able to actually, associate the different stuff here, open, close, if, do, odd, blah, 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 and then you can jump, you can do all that stuff that is usual, and it indents, which is it's very nice, right? You know how to indent most of this stuff. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. It's getting good. So that's all for today. I mean, this hopefully is short enough and it's simple enough. So please install GCC with Algol 68. Please install the Automake, the Autoconf, and the Emacs mode if you use Emacs. I don't know if the other editors have Algol 68 modes. Maybe they may have. And yeah, and play around with it until the next video. And yeah, and see you next time. Happy hacking.